And welcome back. In this video tutorial, I'm going to introduce the concepts of coding or programming inside Stencil. So, first things first, I am not a programmer at all. Digital artist is what I would like to be known as. Um, so, um, we're going to use Stencil's visual programming, which I think is fantastic. Even if you know coding, it's a fantastic way of getting your ideas into reality. And I'll even show you the actual code so you can see it and try to translate it and maybe learn it. Okay, so we want to create some player movement going at least left and right for this player here. I'm going to start by going to the dashboard tab. I'm going to go down here to actor behaviors. Oops, this was from a previous time. And under actor behaviors, you have actor and scene behaviors. Actor behaviors are, of course, going to apply only to our actors, and the scene behaviors are going to be things like keeping scores and keeping track of your health and things like that. So I'm going to go actor behaviors, click to create one. We want to stay in design mode. That allows us to do the visual programming inside Stencil. And we want an actor behavior, and I'm simply going to call this player movement. You want to be pretty descriptive about your code names. Click on create, and now we're inside the screen. This little tutorial pops up. I'm going to just say remind me later. It is a good tutorial. Alright, so we have basically three zones. Here on the left, this is where we have what are called events, and you can see they're instructing you to go up here. So we have all these different categories like basics, input, actors, collisions, sound, mobile, etc. And so basically my understanding of programming is that something needs to happen, an event needs to happen. And then once that event happens, then some action occurs. Okay? And so in my class, I gave the example of when the class bell rings, that's the event, then students leave. Okay, and that's the action. So in this example, I'm going to go ahead and say input, and I'm going to go ahead and choose keyboard. But you can see that there's a whole bunch of other really cool things here, like multi-touch and swipe, that's for mobile, desktop only. I believe you can see the console here, or sorry, not the console, the controller. I do believe you have to have the paid version of Stencil to enable that, but I'm not entirely sure. So I'm going to choose keyboard, and now this is the event here. So when the control is pressed, so I'm going to click on control, and I'm going to choose control. And so we want to do left and right in this tutorial. So I'm going to choose left, click on OK. Alright, so when left is pressed, and you can also do released. So when the key is actually released, we're going to leave it at pressed. Okay, now if I need to delete any of these, I can basically click and drag, and I can drag it over the garbage can here, and when it goes on the garbage can, it should delete. Okay, it won't. But if I did the wrong event, I can click on the event name and click on the little minus symbol, and I can say yes. So I'm going to go ahead and add that back in there. Alright, so now control is going to be left. There we are. And over here on the right hand side, this is where we actually get all the fun stuff. And all of these categories are the different blocks that you can actually snap into this empty space, and these will then be the actions that then occur when this event takes place. So you'll start to memorize some of these over here, but the thing that I can recommend definitely is the search box up top here. When you do click on something, so for instance if I click on actors, then I have these subcategories here. And so if I want the actor to do some movement, I'm going to click on motion, and you'll see that it's in categories over here, and that of course helps you learn the system. So okay, what I'm going to do is I want it to move. I want the actor to move, so I'm going to just simply type in actor and press return, and then I get all these great searches here. So the block I'm looking for is I want to actually set the speed to a certain number or a certain variable for an actor. So I'm going to left click and drag this block and I'm just going to snap it up here. If you don't make it there, great, you can go ahead and just drag it up here like that. If you need to delete it, this one should delete. There we go. When I mouse over it, you can go ahead and put it in the trash can. Okay, so here's the correct one. Okay, so I have to choose which axis. Remember, X speed, or X is left and right, horizontal. Y is up and down. And I'm going to set the X speed to 5. And there we go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And what I need to do is I actually need to attach this behavior to an actor, otherwise it won't actually work. So there's the green button up here. I only have one actor, and I'll choose OK. Alright, so now you'll see I'm on my player ship, and if I go to behaviors, you'll see that the player movement behavior that I just created from scratch is added. And they always do this hammer icon for the ones that you guys make. Okay, so now if I go ahead and test my game, we'll see if it works. Okay, so there it is, and if I press the left arrow key, you'll see that, okay, it's working. It's going in the wrong direction, and when I lift up on the key, it doesn't stop. So that's a problem. Okay, so how do I fix that? Well, first of all, I'm going to go back to the player movement. I'm going to change the direction. Instead of 5, I'm going to do -5. Okay, and I'll hit save game for that. And that should change the direction just fine. So now what I need to do is I need to basically stop the ship from sliding, and so when I lift up on the key, it then stops. So I could do another keyboard event. I could say add event, input, keyboard, and I could say when control left is released, set X speed to 0. Okay, so now I've got 2 events. When I press the key, it's going to be set to -5, and that will move me to the left. When I release the key, it'll be then set to 0. So let's test that out and see if it works. Okay, so there it is there. If I left mouse click, you'll see that it does in fact play, and if I lift up, it does in fact work. I can still go off screen, and then I can't come back because I don't have any code for that. There's another behavior that we can make, or that we can actually use to keep us from going off screen. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording there, and there will be a part 2 for coding, and I'll actually show you a much better way to actually code that same behavior, and we'll go ahead and do the other movements and directions in a much more elegant way. So I will see you in part 2.